There was a moment not too long ago when I stood in front of my mirror and hardly recognized the woman looking back at me. Once full of life, my hair had turned into a heavy curtain that pulled everything down. My eyes, my energy, even my mood. I kept thinking, maybe if I just blow-dried it differently, perhaps if I changed the part. But the truth is, it wasn't about styling tricks anymore. It was about change. So I leaped and tried a new haircut. And somehow with just one cut, everything felt lighter. Not just my hair, but me. That small change helped me feel seen again. Welcome to Ageless Vitality, where we keep it real and simple. We're not here to chase trends or pretend we're 20 again. We're here to talk about what actually works right now for your face, your hair, your life. If you've ever looked in the mirror and thought, this just isn't working anymore, you're not alone. That moment when your old go-to hairstyle starts to feel, well, old? That's where we begin. You don't need to reinvent yourself completely. But sometimes a fresh cut can do what no expensive product ever will. Brings focus back to your eyes. It gives shape to your smile. It reminds you that you still matter. You still show up. And you still deserve to feel great in your own skin. So in this video, we're diving into 10 short haircuts that lift, frame, and refresh. Not just your face, but your whole vibe. And hey, some of them might even save you time in the morning. Stick around. You might just see something that makes you say, that's the one. We've all heard it. Long hair keeps you looking young. But after 60, that just doesn't always hold up. You wake up, your hair feels heavy, it pulls your face down, and suddenly that youthful glow? Gone. I used to believe that more length meant more femininity. But honestly, it became more frustrating than flair. The tools, the products, the time, it all started to feel like too much for too little payoff. The truth is, long styles can exaggerate the very things we want to soften. They draw attention to a tired jawline or thinning ends. And if you've ever stood in front of the mirror thinking, why is this not working anymore? You're not alone. Shorter, smarter cuts can lift, reshape, and actually work with your features, not against them. This isn't about giving up. It's about letting go of what no longer fits and choosing something better. Let's talk about long layers. You know the style, soft, flowing, youthful. At least that's what we were told. For years, I thought the longer my hair, the more it would lift my face. But over time, that illusion faded. What I ended up with was a lot of hair and very little shape. I remember standing in front of the mirror with my round brush, trying to coax the layers into something that looked alive. They just dropped. No matter what I did, the ends looked wispy, tired, almost apologetic. It wasn't flattering anymore. It was just familiar. And that's what made it hard to let go. I held on to those long layers like they were part of who I was. But here's the thing, they weren't helping me. They were actually drawing attention downward, making my jawline look heavier, my cheeks more hollow, and my whole face a little more tired. Then one day, I saw a candid photo someone took at a family event. There I was smiling, yes, but my hair looked like it was trying to escape my head. That was my wake-up call. I went to my stylist and said, be honest. Is this working? She gently said, you might be ready for something shorter, something with structure. It was scary, but I said yes. She trimmed it to just below the chin, added soft layers that framed my cheekbones instead of hiding them. Suddenly my eyes stood out. My whole face lifted. And for the first time in a long time, I felt seen not just by others but by myself. Letting go of those long layers wasn't about giving up. It was about choosing something that made sense for who I am now. It reminded me that change doesn't have to be dramatic to be powerful. If your long layers feel like more work than reward, consider trying a cleaner shape. Maybe it's time to lift your look. And maybe even your mood. Because sometimes the best transformation starts with letting go of what used to work and making space for what works now. And here's the bonus. Shorter styles often mean less maintenance. No more hours spent blow-drying or endless brushing sessions just to get a bit of bounce. With the right shape, your hair does the work for you. And that's not just convenience, it's freedom. So go ahead. Let those long layers go if they're not serving you. You might be surprised by what's waiting on the other side of that cut. Let's talk about the bob. You might have tried it once. Maybe even swore you'd never go back. I get it. For years, I thought the bob was for someone else. The PDA mom. The one with a beige sedan and a label maker. It felt too safe. Too ordinary. Like something you settle for, not something you choose. But here's what I didn't realize. The right bob? It's anything but basic. I walked into the salon one summer after a week of battling frizz, humidity, and a hairstyle that just wouldn't cooperate. I was exhausted, not just from the weather, but from trying so hard to make my hair do something it didn't want to do. My stylist looked at me and said, "Let's go with a classic bob. Chin length. A little shape at the jaw." I hesitated, remembering that middle school yearbook photo. She smiled. "Trust me." 15 minutes later, my jawline had reappeared. My neck looked longer. My whole face felt lifted. It wasn't just a cut. It was clarity. The bob has this way of framing the face without crowding it. It draws attention to your eyes, your smile, and your expression. And if your hair has gotten finer over the years, that structured line adds the fullness and intention that long, thinning ends just can't give. And the upkeep? Surprisingly simple. No more fighting with rollers or round brushes. Just a blow dryer, and maybe 5 minutes of effort. 10 if you're feeling fancy. I started wearing earrings again. Even lipstick. The cut gave me confidence, and that confidence spilled over into everything else. So if you've been avoiding the bob because of what you think it says about you, maybe it's time to rewrite the story. Ask for a blunt finish or a slight angle toward the front. Add a bit of texture if you want it to feel softer. The bob isn't a fallback. It's a power move, especially when you find the version that fits you now. Because sometimes, the haircut you thought you left behind is exactly the one that brings you forward. And here's a bonus. The bob grows out gracefully. Even if you skip a trim, it still holds its shape, still says put together, without trying too hard. That makes it not just stylish, but smart. Especially if you value ease without sacrificing polish. Let's be real, pixie cuts have a reputation. They're bold. They're edgy. And for a long time I thought they were for someone else. Someone with razor-sharp cheekbones or a fashion job in New York. Not me. Not someone with soft features and a head full of doubt. But then, one summer I had had enough. My hair was flat, heavy, and fighting me every morning. I wanted something fresh. Something easy. Something that didn't need 5 products and a pep talk. My stylist leaned in and said, "Have you ever thought about a soft pixie?" I laughed. "Not unless I want to look like my brother in the 70s. She smiled. "This one's different. It's not severe. It's soft, feminine, playful." I took a breath. I said yes. And you know what? It was the best yes I've given myself in a long time. The soft pixie is not about rebellion. It's about release. It's longer on top, texture just enough to look full, but still light around the ears and nape. It gives your face room to shine. And wow, did my eyes pop. I hadn't worn mascara in weeks, but suddenly people were telling me I looked more awake. The crown had a lift. My jawline looked defined. And best of all, I didn't feel like I had to fix anything every morning. Just a little tousle, maybe a dab of styling cream, and I was done. This cut doesn't demand perfection. It gives you grace. Even on day 3 hair, it still says, I showed up with intention. If you're nervous about going short, ask for a soft version. Longer on top, gentle tapering, no harsh lines. Think texture over edge. Think movement over stiffness. And the real surprise? The soft pixie made me feel more feminine, not less. It put the focus back where it belongs, my smile, my eyes, my presence. It's not about hiding behind hair. It's about stepping forward light, confident, and completely yourself. So if your current style feels more like a habit than a choice, maybe it's time for something new. Not loud, just light. Not trendy, just true. The soft pixie isn't just a haircut. It's a quiet kind of freedom. Let's talk about sideswept bangs. And no, I don't mean those thick, flat ones from the early 2000s that needed a straightener and a hope. I'm talking about the soft, wispy kind that moves with you. The kind that say, I'm trying, but not too hard. Here's the thing. I used to think bangs were just too much work. They always seemed to get greasy, crinkle weird when I slept, or end up in my mouth on windy days. So I avoided them for years. But the truth, I was missing out. Sideswept bangs are like the magic trick of hair. They do so much with so little. They soften the lines across your forehead, draw the eye upward, and frame your face in this gentle, almost effortless way. I remember the first morning after getting mine cut. I woke up, gave them a quick fluff with my fingers and looked in the mirror. And suddenly, I didn't look tired anymore. I looked refreshed. You know those mornings when one side of your face is puffier than the other, or that forehead wrinkle is doing its own thing? Side bangs are like a soft filter. They smooth everything over, distract from what's not working, and highlight what is. And they work with almost any haircut. Pixie bob, collarbone crop. Whatever you're rocking, side bangs can be the finishing touch. They're also incredibly forgiving. Miss a trim? No big deal. Let them grow a little. They blend right in. You can pin them back, tuck them, or let them fall naturally. They don't require daily styling. Just a round brush or even your fingers. What I love most is how they make you feel a little more put together, without much effort. You don't need a full blowout. You don't need perfect makeup. Just those soft bangs doing their thing. If you've been bored with your haircut, but not ready for a full change, this is a great place to start. Because sometimes it's not about cutting it all off. It's about making a small move that changes how everything else looks. Sideswept bangs. They're a tiny shift with a major payoff. Let's talk about something no one ever brings up. The back of your haircut. Yes, the part you never see unless someone takes a picture of you standing in line at the pharmacy, or you catch a glimpse in one of those angled mirrors at the hair salon. I used to ignore it completely. My focus was always the front. The bangs, the layers, the volume at the crown. But the back, I figured out of sight, out of mind. That is, until I saw a photo someone took from behind. My hair looked like a helmet. No shape, no style, just fluff. That's when my stylist suggested a tapered nape. I didn't even know what that meant. She explained it simply. It's about cleaning up the neckline, shaping it so it hugs gently at the base and gives everything above it a little lift. So I said, sure, why not? And wow, what a difference. Suddenly my neck looked longer. My posture improved. No, seriously. There's something about having a sleek, intentional line at the base of your haircut that makes you feel more upright, more refined. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't edgy. It was subtle. But that subtle change changed everything. The tapered nape works with so many styles, pixies, bobs, even soft shags. It gives your whole haircut a polished edge. No more bulky bunches at the collar or weird flips that happen when your hair hits a sweater. And best of all, it grows in so gracefully. Less bulk at the back means less heat, less sweat, and way fewer moments of pulling your hair out of your jacket. Ask your stylist for a soft taper if you're not ready for a close crop. Just enough to keep things tidy, lifted, and clean. It's one of those things most people won't notice right away, but they'll notice something looks better. More put together. More you. So if you're ready to fine-tune your style and feel great from every angle, don't skip the nape. It might just be the quiet detail that makes the biggest impact. It's a little like tailoring for your haircut. You don't need to change everything. Sometimes just one clean line at the base can bring the whole look together and make you feel sharper, lighter, and more confident. Let's talk about layers, but not the kind that scream for attention. I'm talking about hidden layers. The quiet kind. The kind that do the work without showing off. Now, I used to think layers meant visible chop. You know, those chunky pieces that made your hair look like it had mood swings. So when someone suggested layers for my fine, thinning hair, I cringed. I pictured uneven ends, flyaways, and hours with a curling iron. But then my stylist introduced me to the idea of hidden layers, what she called interior scaffolding. She explained it like this. Instead of cutting into the top, I'm going to add structure underneath. It'll lift your hair without adding bulk. I was skeptical, but I said okay. And let me tell you, that first blow dry? Magic. My hair looked full again. Not puffy, not round, just lifted. It had bounce, shape. And best of all, it didn't feel like I was trying too hard. What's great about hidden layers is they're invisible to the eye, but not to the shape. They give body and movement without sacrificing smoothness. Your hair still looks neat and styled, but it has life again. They're especially helpful if you're dealing with hair that's gotten a little more stubborn over the years. Maybe it falls flat. Maybe it separates oddly in the back. Hidden layers solve all that by giving your cut a bit of hidden support. And they work on almost every short style, pixies, bobs, even soft shags. They make your crown feel fuller and give you a little boost without resorting to teasing or heavy product. Maintenance: surprisingly low. Because the layers are inside, not on top, they grow out evenly. Even if you skip a trim or two, the shape still holds. What I love most is how they make you feel like you have naturally good hair. Even if your strands are fine or thinning, the cut gives the illusion of fullness and effortlessness. So if your hair has been feeling a little tired or heavy lately, ask your stylist about hidden layers. Sometimes the biggest difference comes from what you don't see, but feel every single day. If you wear glasses, and let's be real, a lot of us do, the right haircut can make a huge difference. For the longest time, I never gave much thought to how my hairstyle interacted with my frames. But every time I put them on, I found myself constantly tucking hair behind my ears, adjusting both the glasses and the flyaways. It felt like they were all fighting for space on my face. Then I tried something different, a simple ear-length cut, and everything changed. This style isn't radical. It's not edgy or dramatic, but it's clean, it's light, and most importantly, it plays well with your glasses. It sits right at the earlobe, clearing the clutter around your temples and letting your face and your frames breathe a little. Suddenly, my glasses didn't feel like an afterthought. They became part of the look. The shape of this cut actually brings out your cheekbones and opens up your jawline. It's amazing how a shorter side can draw attention up to your eyes instead of weighing down your profile. And the comfort? Oh, what a difference. No more hair stuck under the arms of my glasses. No more strange bends behind the ears, or that one stubborn strand that always tickled my cheek mid-sentence. The best part? You can wear it polished or a little tousled. Tuck it behind one ear, add a little wave, or just let it fall naturally. Either way, it looks intentional, effortless, put together without being fussy. It works with silver hair, with bold frames, even with progressive lenses you never thought you'd love. The ear-length cut says, I'm confident, I'm practical, and I still care how I show up in the world. If you've been struggling to find a style that complements your glasses, instead of competing with them, give this a shot. Ask your stylist to keep it neat, just grazing the ear with a subtle angle if you want some edge. Add soft texture if your hair's fine or flat. It helps give movement without bulk. Sometimes it's not about reinventing your whole look. Sometimes it's about finally making peace between your hair and your glasses. This isn't just a haircut. It's a small solution that quietly makes your day easier. And a little more stylish too. Let's talk about the shag. And before you picture a wild rock star from the 70s, let me stop you. This isn't that shag. This is the grown-up version. The subtle shag. The one that whispers, not shouts. I discovered it during a tough week. No sleep, no energy, and definitely no interest in styling my hair. I walked into the salon and said, I need help. I look like I've given up. My stylist smiled and said, you need a little lift, inside and out. She suggested a modern shag. I cringed. All I could think of were chunky layers and hair sticking out in 5 different directions. But she reassured me. Trust me. This one's softer. Lighter. It moves with you. And she was right. She kept the layers gentle, starting around the crown and tapering softly toward the sides. There was no heavy chopping. Just enough texture to create bounce and light. When she finished, I looked in the mirror and saw someone I hadn't seen in a while, me but brighter. The beauty of a subtle shag is how it plays with light. The way the layers fall can actually give your face more shape, more lift. Cheekbones suddenly show up. Your eyes look more awake. You look like you slept even if you didn't. And the styling? Surprisingly easy. A bit of mousse or a quick scrunch while drying. That's it. The cut does the work. You don't have to fight with it. It's perfect if your hair tends to go flat or limp. Those layers bring back volume, without teasing or tricks. And if your hair has a bit of wave or curl, even better. The shag works with what you've got. What I love most is how natural it feels. It doesn't look like you tried too hard, but it absolutely looks like you know what you're doing. You don't look done up. You look refreshed. If you've been playing it safe with your hair, the subtle shag might be the little risk that brings big rewards. It's fun. It's flattering. And it might just be the thing that brings your style and your energy back to life. It is not about looking trendy. It is about feeling alive. And when you find a cut that lifts your face and your spirit, that is a keeper. Let's talk about the collarbone crop. It is one of those cuts that lives in the sweet spot. Not too short, not too long. It is just enough to give you freedom, without making you feel like you made a huge commitment. I first got it during what I like to call a transition phase. My long hair felt heavy. My ponytail was giving me headaches. But I was nervous about going truly short. I still wanted to feel like I had options. My stylist suggested a cut that landed right at my collarbone. It will lift your features and still let you tuck it back, she said. So I gave it a try. And let me tell you, I have not looked back. The collarbone crop is flattering on almost everyone. It frames your face without dragging it down. It gives your hair movement, but it still feels intentional. It is short enough to stay off your neck on hot days, but long enough to pull back if you need to. And the bounce. That surprised me. After years of longer hair losing shape halfway through the day, this cut kept its life. From morning coffee to evening errands. It works beautifully with soft layers, or even sideswept bangs. You can add a little texture to keep it fun, or go smooth for something sleeker. It is versatile without being high maintenance. And styling? So easy. Let it air dry, and you still look polished. Blow it out, and it looks like you spent time at the salon, without ever touching a curling iron. What I love most is how the collarbone crop makes you feel put together. Even if you are wearing yoga pants and no makeup, that sharp edge at the collarbone makes it look like you made an effort. If you are in that maybe just a trim phase but secretly want a little change, this is your move. It is a soft reset. A style that says, I am not starting over. I am stepping forward. The collarbone crop is proof that you do not need to go drastic to feel refreshed. Sometimes all you need is a few thoughtful inches off to find yourself again. There comes a moment when you sit down in that salon chair and say, just do whatever you think will look good. That was me. I was tired of making decisions, tired of pretending my grown-out cut was still working. I just wanted something that felt like a reset. My stylist looked at me, smiled, and said, let's go with a textured crop. I had no idea what that meant. But I nodded anyway. What I got was something short, yes, but not harsh. It was light, choppy in a good way, and had soft edges that framed my face instead of boxing it in. And let me tell you, it changed everything. The textured crop lifts your whole look. It gives your crown volume, defines your jawline, and lets your natural hair texture shine. Whether your hair is fine, thinning, or just a little fussy, this cut works with it, not against it. It is perfect if you want something that looks styled without having to style it. I wake up, run my fingers through it, maybe add a little cream, and that is it. No heat tools. No fuss. And because of the layers, it catches the light in all the right places. Your highlights, your silver strands, they all get their moment. You do not need dye or tricks. Just the right shape. It is also one of those cuts that grows out beautifully. Even if you miss an appointment or go a few extra weeks, it still looks intentional. Not overgrown, just relaxed. What I love most about the textured crop is how it makes me feel. I look in the mirror and think, yes, that is me. And I look good. It is not about chasing trends. It is about owning where you are and showing up with confidence. If you are ready for a cut that makes life easier, not harder, this might be the one. Ask for soft texture, light layering, and movement around the face. Nothing sharp. Nothing severe. Sometimes, the best cuts are the ones that speak quietly, but leave a lasting impression. It does not try too hard. It just works. And in this stage of life, that kind of simplicity feels powerful. All of this, the bangs, the crops, the soft edges, none of it is just about hair. It is about how we feel when we see ourselves in the mirror. There was a moment after trying one of these cuts when I looked up and thought, that is me. I remember her. Not a younger version. Not some makeover moment. Just me, lighter, clearer, and more present. What surprised me most was how something as simple as a haircut could lift more than just my features. It lifted my mood, my posture. Even though I spoke in meetings or showed up with friends, it reminded me that change does not have to be huge to be meaningful. These little shifts, letting go of old rules, choosing what works now, are the real transformation. Not loud, not flashy, just honest. And that is what makes all the difference. Let's be honest, hair is not just hair. It is how we greet the world. And over time, the styles we once loved may stop loving us back. That does not mean we have to settle or give up. It means we get to choose again. The 10 haircuts we explored are more than just trends. They are tools to help us reconnect with the woman in the mirror. The one who still shows up. The one who still deserves to feel great. This is not about turning back the clock. It is about looking ahead and saying, what works for me now? Because change, when it is done with intention, is empowering. You do not need permission to update your look. You only need the courage to try something new. And the grace to know it is never too late. If one of these haircuts made you stop and think, that could be me, then tell us about it in the comments. We want to hear your story. What you tried, what worked, even what didn't. Your experience could be the exact nudge someone else needs. And if you found this helpful, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe for more real talk, and share this with a friend. Let's age with style, grace, and a little more lift together.